On a stormy night in New York City, Dr. Malcolm Carter, a highly respected black surgeon, raced through the rain-soaked streets, his heart pounding. A child's life depended on him reaching the hospital in time. But just as he neared an intersection, flashing red and blue lights filled his rearview mirror. With a heavy sigh, he pulled over, gripping the steering wheel tightly. He had done nothing wrong, yet he knew exactly why he was being stopped. Officer Reynolds, a cop with a reputation for profiling black men, approached with a smirk, already convinced that the well-dressed man in the luxury car didn't belong. Reynolds knocked on the window aggressively. "License and registration." "What's the hurry, boy?" His tone was dripping with condescension. Dr. Carter, keeping his hands visible, responded calmly. "I'm Dr. Malcolm Carter. A surgeon. There's an emergency at the hospital. I need to get there now." Reynolds barely glanced at the ID before shaking his head. "A surgeon? Yeah. Step out of the car." Dr. Carter clenched his jaw. He had heard stories like this before. Complying was the only option. Slowly, he stepped out into the rain. Before he could say another word, Reynolds yanked his arms behind his back and slapped the cuffs on. "You people think you can lie your way out of anything," Reynolds sneered. A bystander, a white man in a suit, stopped to watch. "Officer, you sure about that?" he asked, raising an eyebrow. Reynolds ignored him, shoving Dr. Carter against the car. "I told you, a child is dying," Dr. Carter said through gritted teeth. "You're wasting time." "Not my problem," Reynolds muttered. Just then, the police radio crackled. "All units, be advised. Dr. Malcolm Carter is en route to City Hospital. The mayor's son is in critical condition. He must arrive immediately." Reynolds' smirk disappeared. His hands trembled as he fumbled to unlock the cuffs. "Sir, I made a mistake. Please go." Dr. Carter didn't move. He stared at Reynolds, his voice cold and firm. "You delayed me. If anything happens to that boy, it's on you." Before Reynolds could respond, a black SUV screeched to a halt. The door flew open, and the mayor himself stormed out. His face was red with rage. "You detain my son's surgeon?" he bellowed. Reynolds stammered, but the mayor wasn't interested in excuses. "You're done. Hand over your badge." Reynolds hesitated, but under the mayor's furious glare, he had no choice. With shaky hands, he unpinned his badge and handed it over. The weight of his actions hit him all at once. Meanwhile, Dr. Carter sped off toward the hospital. He arrived just in time to save the mayor's son. Hours later, as he stepped out of the operating room, exhausted but relieved, he saw the mayor waiting for him. "You saved my boy's life," the mayor said, his voice thick with emotion. "And that officer? He won't be stopping anyone ever again." Reynolds, now jobless and disgraced, watched the news that night. His name was everywhere, but not for the reasons he had once hoped. He had thought he had power, but in the end, justice had prevailed. Karma had been served.